we've got SB, he, him from India, calling in about the Kalam cosmological argument.
It had been a minute since I had discussed the Kalam. You can almost set your watch by it. I guess we'll dive back in.
Yeah, SB, you are live.
Hi, Christy.
Yeah.
Howdy.
What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm great too. So I have called because I am a new atheist. I have just recently considered myself like an atheist, around 4-5 months ago only. So I had this doubt about the Kalam cosmological argument. I have heard that argument from theists basically, and I have not yet heard a reply that I can completely comprehend, from counter reply to the Kalam cosmological argument. So something that you guys could help me break the argument down and something that I could also understand. Is it possible? Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, and so I'll admit I'm not a philosopher, so kind of my approach is maybe a bit less in depth than some other people might give you. But I mean, one of my favorite go-tos in response to the Kalam, and for people who don't, I'm sure a lot of people here know the Kalam, but just so we're tracking with everybody in the audience, the Kalam essentially says that everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. So that's what we're essentially refuting here. But one of my biggest problems with this syllogism is that I don't think many atheists, and speaking from my own position, I wouldn't say that the atheist position is to oppose the concept of a cause. I don't know what caused the universe. I could say that, rationally speaking, it could have a cause. And I would agree. The things that we all see in our reality have been caused as far as we know. The difference is I'm not convinced that it had to be a supernatural cause. There are plenty of people that will give arguments for a natural cause. Like the Big Bang is an example of a natural cause that is proposed. So I think my biggest approach to this would be to say, how did you get to the cause being a supernatural one? And that's kind of my first step. Christy, I don't know if you have an argument you'd like to go to for this.
Yeah, no, that largely lines up. I referenced just a moment ago that my comprehension of the physics of time and of the beginning and the end of the universe is incredibly limited. And honestly, I'm largely okay with that. I don't revel in my ignorance, but also I'm a mental health clinician, and I'm okay with not having a detailed comprehension of redshifting or some of these other concepts. So I suppose I would say, SB, I don't really have an issue with saying that something caused the universe to exist. I just take issue with somebody saying, well, so that something must be a God, and I know that God, and I've met him, and he wants you to stop being gay, or whatever the hell that argument might turn into. So I would recommend, if you're trying to understand why there's tension around this topic, I would sort of focus on, well, what is the claim that's actually being made? Is it that somebody says, because I have presented to you the Kalam syllogism, I know that there is a specific God? Or are they simply saying that, yeah, the universe exists and something must have made that to happen? I'm comfortable with at least tacitly accepting that idea.
So basically, they call out us people atheists, we are liars or truth deniers. They directly use this argument. So they directly say that because of this, there must be a God. They say that you have to follow a lot of natural things to happen to for the universe to form. Or they have a simpler idea which is more logical according to them, not according to me, but according to them. So I had this conversation with my friend basically. So he he kind of owned me in it. Like I didn't have like a reply to it. So like that's why I want like so it is like we don't know. So they say that you don't know because so you don't know anything like that. I don't.
Yeah, no,
cannot,
I
like,
hear that. You know, I personally, like, I recognize that, for instance, I have 3 dogs, and as often as I can, I take them on long walks and jogs around my neighborhood. And I believe that if they ever get out or get lost, that they have like some vague comprehension of the neighborhood that our house exists in. And they really don't have much comprehension beyond that. I, as a human being, have this like robust understanding of the fact that I exist inside of a neighborhood, inside of the city of Austin, inside of the state of Texas, inside of this continent, which is surrounded by these oceans, which is on this planet, which is a part of a solar system, which is part of a cluster of, which is part of a galaxy, part of a cluster of galaxies. Like, I have these vague, increasingly vague notions of how I fit into the universe around me. And I think it's very remarkable that we have these brilliant scientists who have a so much more robust and complicated comprehension of all of these things. But the mere fact that we don't know quite exactly how the universe began, and the things that we do know are so complex that somebody like me can't fully absorb them, is not something I lose a lot of sleep over. Simply saying I don't know all of the details, simply saying I don't know how this happened, doesn't mean that somebody else gets to claim that, oh, well, then it had to be supernatural. It had to be God.
Yeah. Basically, my argument is also that, but I guess I'll have to learn more. Like, I don't know. I have bad debating skills, I guess. Like, I guess I put my points forward better, I guess.
Yeah, at SB, we actually have someone a bit more philosophically minded backstage that we're going to bring on. Richard Gilliver is backstage, eager to get in. I know Richard has been asking for a call about the Kalam for a while, so this is just our time. Richard, I bet you have a lot to say about this
Something like that, Ben,
yeah.
Look, this philosophically, because we can go into all the science and stuff, but I don't think we need to go into the science with the Kalam, because what theists present and imply in the Kalam, not necessarily the Kalam itself, but what theists want to get to for the Kalam is a problem in itself, because premise 1 says everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2 says the universe begins to exist. The conclusion is therefore the universe has a cause. That's fine in and of itself. From a philosophical point of view, I could argue lots of different things. I don't think we need to, because there's one glaring problem from the perspective of being a theist. And that is that when the universe begins to exist, it has a cause. They want to put God as that cause, which causes a problem for the actual makeup of the Kalam. And that is that everything that begins to exist has a cause. All the things that we know that begin to exist that have causes are contingent on other things. What the theist wants to do then is cite that the beginning of the universe, the cause for the universe, is a necessary thing. So that essentially breaks down the makeup of the Kalam cosmological argument. They break the argument themselves when they want to do that. Now, most theists will try and wriggle out of this by saying, well, we're not necessarily arguing for God at this stage. That comes later on. But that is essentially what they're doing. And that's where it falls down, because they're saying, essentially the premises don't follow each other. Now, we can go into all the science and everything around it as well. I don't think we need to do that. I think that very, very simple fact that the jumping from contingent things to a necessary thing is enough to say, look, this argument doesn't work in that context. Now, if you wanted to have it as a purely kind of scientific argument, and use empiricism to evidence it, fine, there might be a few problems there, mainly that we don't know what caused the universe, or if the universe was caused at all. And a lot of that depends on definitions in itself. What are we talking about by the universe? Do we mean the universe that came from the Big Bang, came out of the singularity? Or are we talking about a larger possible cosmos? What is it we mean by universe? All these things need really tearing apart and breaking down. And we can do that when we're talking about the Kalam cosmological argument, but we really don't have to. That very, very simple point of the fact that what theists are trying to do is say contingent things have a cause, and they are contingent causes, except God, which is a necessary thing, is essentially special pleading. So they defeat their own argument as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah, that was, yeah. Thank you. I'll try to listen to it again once or twice, so I can make more complete sense of it. I got some of it kind of went over my head, I guess. I am not that smart. I don't know, but yeah. So that was the main topic I called. I also have a couple of questions.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I being an atheist, basically I come from I'm a Hindu. I was born a Hindu. So is the idea of being a cultural Hindu, because I don't completely hate my religion. I think that there are some bad aspects about the religion, but mostly I don't hate the religion. So me having that cultural identity or cultural tie, is that me being a hypocrite? I have heard that also.
I don't think so. Sorry, guys. I know it's your show and I'm jumping in a lot on this one. I don't think it makes you a hypocrite. Look, we've got a great host over on the non-profits called Phoebe, who is a cultural Jew. There are lots of people who are hosts on these shows who come from Christian backgrounds, who still kind of do the cultural aspects of their Christianity when they're with the families and things. I think it makes you a hypocrite if you are kind of employing cognitive dissonance. If you're saying, I don't believe in God, I no longer believe in God, but I still accept that God exists in some way. I think that would make you a hypocrite. But I think, you're from a culture that is largely Hindu. You're from a culture that has a lot of these cultural practices ingrained in the society. I've just celebrated Christmas. And I'm not a Christian. I don't believe Jesus, is God. I don't believe Jesus was born of a virgin. And yet I've just celebrated Christmas with my family. That doesn't make me a hypocrite. We can separate the cultural aspects of something from the religious aspects of something. And I think as long as you're cognitively aware in yourself that you're doing that, and, you are separating those things, I don't think that makes you a hypocrite at all. I'd love to hear what these guys have got to say on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I spent summer in India, and I have many, many, many Hindu friends, many who follow Hinduism very strictly, and then others that probably would be more cultural Hindu, that don't really believe. I don't, of course, know their exact beliefs, because I mean, SB's we're talking about religion in India is not super culturally accepted, just randomly talking about it. But I know some people who would probably fit more of a cultural Hindu label. But I mean, there's plenty ingrained within Indian culture that relies on Hindu history. And so I don't think that inherently makes it hypocritical. I don't think that inherently makes you religious for doing some of those things. I frequently go to Hindu festivals, and I don't do it because I'm a Hindu, obviously, but you have community at those. You have togetherness. You have celebration of things that are good in this world. And I don't think having those things makes you religious. I don't think having that makes you a bad person or a hypocrite. I think, just acknowledging that there are certain aspects of any religion that are not good for humanity, and you choose to not practice those things. So, what do you think about that?
Yes, that was also like, that was my main thing. Like, do what is right. Like, don't do anything wrong because the religion or the culture says it. Like, but also kind of like, because it also, the festivals and the culture also kind of give me happiness. So I like to like not completely distance myself from it. That is like, but I sometimes feel like a hypocrite, but like, I guess no, not so that much. Yeah.
SB, I've been the guest of, I'm very, fortunate to have been the guest at mosques over the years, at churches, Buddhist temples, and I've been there, and I haven't participated in those things, but I have been present when those things are happening, and I've remained quiet and allowed those people to get on with what they want to do, and I think it's fine to do that. If you choose to participate, feel free to participate. You know in yourself why you're doing it and what you're doing it for, and I think that's fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think it's cool. Be yourself.
Christy. Christy, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything that y'all are saying. I mean, it would be disingenuous to sort of say that you believe in these things and then not, or to participate in maybe certain like religiously oriented rituals and things like that. But that's probably not what we're talking about when we're discussing the holidays. And I think that you can be both sincere and participate in spending time with family and being part of the festivities. I really don't see a complication there. I know that anytime we're talking about faith and family and some of those kinds of ideas, things can get a little bit messy, and that's difficult to navigate. But I don't know that any of this makes you a hypocrite. And I appreciate that you're wanting to walk ethically as you work through all of it.
Yeah, I mean, and on kind of those points too, I know like comparing different holidays too, like with Christmas, of course, a lot of us will still sing certain Christmas carols because it's good music. Like, even though it's inherently like the words are religious, the concept's religious, but we don't believe that the song depicts like an actual historical thing. Now it's a story to a lot of us. Like, you're singing a story. And I know that a lot of like music that if you go to Garba, like we all know that a lot of the music you're going to listen to is like Hindu related, and oftentimes like prayer music is playing a lot. And it's not that you're praying by doing that all the time. And some people might believe that they are, but if I'm dancing at Garba, I'm not actually worshiping any deities. I'm just enjoying music and dancing. And I think you're able to separate that. Even if the music is religious, even if the themes are religious. So
thank you.